Hi everyone, welcome back to the Sorcerer's Quest. My name is Spencer Reed, and I have CJ on. How you doing, dude?
Living the dream. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Um,
feeling pretty good.
Good. So you just won the Courtesan Cup, and you were first place. You played a Sears Roots deck. I
Mhm.
laughed at the shirt that you're wearing right now, but you had it
Oh,
also on
thank you.
stream, and it was great. Yeah, Drew from On the Play, it was like, man, I love his shirt. And then I was like, wait, what does it say? And I read it, and I was like, oh, that's so good. I love it.
Yeah, there's actually a graphic on the back,
Oh, is there?
and it's the seer chewing bubble or blowing bubbles. Can you see it?
Nice. Yeah, I see it. That's
Yeah,
sick.
it's pretty
Very cool.
funny. Yeah, I actually I made this shirt and I didn't think I would win, so I thought it'd be pretty funny, and then I won. I'm like, wow, I look like such an asshole.
Okay. Yeah. That I guess I could see where that comes from. Yeah, but like it's no, I just liked it. It was funny.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people liked it. It was great. Uh,
yeah.
so kind of the first question I ask people that come onto the channel is, how'd you get into sorcery? And you kind of alluded to it before we started the recording, but it is okay if you want to say it the way you said it.
I'm not sure. It was like just internet algorithms. I'm pretty sure I'm a big like fantasy nerd. I like
Hmm.
trading card games. I was playing Magic, and Brandon Sanderson did his Kickstarter
Oh, dude.
for
Okay,
his
we're gonna
secret
have to talk
novels.
about a lot of stuff now.
Oh, what you can't see, oh man, is my bookshelf, and there's all
Yeah.
the leather bounds and the Brandon Sanderson, and yeah. So I was backing Brandon. I think this is what happened because I hadn't been on Kickstarter in a while, and I
Hmm.
backed Brandon Sanderson's like secret novel, like novels
Hmm.
Kickstarter,
Yep.
and I don't have any idea why, but it was like, oh, you like Brandon Sanderson? I bet you'd like this card game, and I think that's what it was. I can't
Gotcha.
be
Okay.
sure, but then I was like, okay, sure, whatever. I watched the preview of it. I loved the art. I saw that Becca Scott had done like a how to play. Becca Scott used
Okay.
to be on Geek and Sundry, which was something that I
Yep.
was like into. I was like, okay, cool, check that out. I was like, all right, that seems neat. And then I saw the Chase and Ira gameplay videos, and I was like, okay,
Hmm.
I love the idea of this because I'm a big board gamer.
Right. Okay.
Um, and so I was like, oh, it's like a trading card game. It's got board game elements. That sounds great. So I just like bought a box, drafted with friends, got hooked,
Cool.
and then signed up for the Baltimore qualifier because this was all in 2024, I think. So
Okay.
I just was like, okay, I'll sign up for the Baltimore qualifier because it's sealed, so I don't
Hmm.
have to own the cards. I don't have to have any idea what a meta deck is, and if you win, the Baltimore qualifier had the playset, beta playset was the top prize. So I was like, oh, maybe
Whoa. There you
I'll just
go.
win, which I didn't. Spoiler
Nice.
alert! But I was like, maybe I could win, and then I won't have to buy any more boxes.
Nice.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. So that's how I got into
Very
it. Was
cool.
just random internet algorithms.
Nice. So, just to clarify, did you back the Kickstarter or did you just do
Mm-mm.
beta? Okay,
Just did,
beta.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. I found out about it. I think it was. I don't remember when the Brandon Sanderson Kickstarter was. It was either like November, December of 2023 or something.
Yeah. Hmm.
Is that right? I don't remember, but I think
Yeah,
that
I
was
think
what it was.
you're right because I also backed it. So,
Oh, you know what? Now that I'm telling the story, maybe I'm wrong because it was that was in 2022 and it happened all of 2023.
so
But I didn't know about
maybe
sorcery until 2024. Oh, that whole story is a lie.
it's so good.
I'm not sure what it was. It was I was on Kickstarter for some reason, and they're like,
Right.
"Hey, you like Kickstarter? Look at this
He
like previously
he did
popular thing."
have he did have one. He did have like a sign up in November for the Words of Radiance.
That might be it. Because I was like, I haven't been playing this game
Yeah.
for a year, but that was last year. So it was probably that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is just a
Okay.
plug for Brandon Sanderson. He's a really good
At this
author. You should
point,
read his
yeah,
stuff.
it is so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've convinced most of the people that I work with that they had to read it.
At the cup, I was trying to remember to use my like to remember what I had scryed, and I actually used a
Hmm.
coin from those like boxes. It was the one can have a wit but not a witless coin.
Oh,
So
okay,
one
yeah,
side is like a face and the other side is like a mirror. And so I was like,
yeah.
if I don't know what it is, it was the mirror side up, and if I did, it had the face.
There you
And people
go.
were like, "What is that?" And I was like, "I'm basically just shilling Brandon Sanderson out, but Brandon
Nice,
Sanderson stuff. You should check it out."
very cool, nice, dude. So You had the Seer deck for
Hmm.
the tournament, which I think previously you had used it to get second place in the online tournament, right?
Yeah,
With the
yeah. Season 4
whatever.
of the online tournament on Discord was my first season in there, and I used my like first version of Ragnarok,
Okay.
which is my deck. And
Hmm.
yeah, I got second. It was really cool. I changed like 4 cards around for the finals. I changed 4 cards
Very
around for
cool.
the cup, and I think it made it a lot stronger.
Nice. Yeah, I was wondering what RAG 2.0 meant. I was like, is it just a rag? Like we're it's like
Yeah, that's fair.
just supposed to clean up things. That's all I'm doing here.
My bad. So Ragnarok. So the online tournament was basically like a month before the Courtesan Cup,
Hmm.
and finished probably 2 weeks before it. But once we locked our lists in, we weren't allowed to do anything to them. And
Gotcha.
so I was doing all of the top 32, and then like playtesting and stuff. And I realized that I would do better with, instead of cave trolls, I should have sandworms.
Hmm.
And then I was getting my butt kicked by Avatar of Air, so I added the smokestacks. But
Gotcha.
I wasn't allowed to touch that list, even to like tinker for like the future event of the Courtesan Cup. So I just made Rag 2.0, which was like
Gotcha.
Ragnarok 2.0, which would be
Okay.
my list for the Courtesan Cup. But I wasn't allowed to touch my one for the season 4. And
Gotcha.
then after they released that list, I was allowed to tinker with it. So they're the same list now.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So let's jump over to it real quick here. So we have the RAG
Oh, I can
2.0.
see it. Great.
Yeah, and we have Seer here. I think this was the one thing that a lot of people were like, "Wait, what?" Because I like a
Yeah.
couple of people when I said, "Oh yeah, Seer won," in my local meta, were like,
Hmm.
"What's Seer?"
Yeah, I've been a Steer fanboy since the beginning.
Yeah, Dan
Um,
Searif made a really nice art piece for this.
yeah, no, it's gorgeous art. It works beautifully with Roots of Yggdrasil.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, no, it's phenomenal. And it sounds like you're kind of a nerd too. So in the story of Ragnarok, the seer that
Uh
predicts
huh.
like the end of the
Right.
gods is actually Loki's first wife, Angrboda,
Uh huh.
and she's considered like the seer. So I was like, hell yeah! Like she predicted Ragnarok. That's the
Mm-hmm.
Roots of Yggdrasil. We're doing it. So that's what I ended up going with.
That's sick, dude. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why I ended up calling it Ragnarok and such. But yeah, Seer is so good. I think it's really underrated, because it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't do card draw. But if you have a strong enough combo, and I think as more combo cards are going to come out, I think Seer will be better than it is.
Yeah, just for people that don't know about Seer, 20 health, 1 power. Your avatar's ability is the normal tap, play, or draw site, and then the one that is kind of makes it the seer. At the start of your turn, look at your next site or spell. You may put it on top or bottom, which is, I think,
Scry.
yeah, it's scry, but it's I think most people are like, well, it's not that like that's not great. Like at least I get to know, but like that doesn't I don't get to draw it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I think like a lot of people, including myself, kind of saw Seer and then they saw Sorcerer and were like, okay, cool, I could just draw that card instead, which means it's
And
in my hand.
yeah, and I think that Sorcerer is a better avatar for a lot of decks, but
Mm-hmm.
it's Seer's ability is a passive ability.
Right.
Sorcerer has to tap. And so that
Mm-hmm.
was actually my first time building this deck with the plan to roots early. I was like, okay, and this was like a while ago, but Sorcerer was everywhere, and people were like, is
Mm-hmm.
Sorcerer too good? Should it be banned? And I was like, what if I just nullify Sorcerer, right? If for five
Mm-hmm.
turns they're playing sites, then they want to double draw. What if on turn
Mm-hmm.
5 I just pop roots and set them back? I get 10 turns of my ability before they get one of theirs.
Gotcha.
And that was kind of
Yeah.
the original, like, okay, if I can turn them off, then mine, like my passive ability has been utilized this entire game. Like that, I have to get some sort of advantage out of there.
Right.
And so that was kind of where I started with this deck.
I think passive abilities are way more powerful than people first give them
Mm-hmm.
credit. I think like Death Speaker's like the king of passive ability, right? Where he gets to get back
And
a
Avatar
dude.
of Air.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Avatar. Yeah.
Because it's not a tap ability to move. And like the fact that
Mm-hmm.
Avatar of Wear won season 4 and people like didn't bat an eye, I'm like, that's it won with crappy 3-drop minions. Like it's so strong to be able to move things around like that.
Right. It's a
Yeah.
blink on demand basically,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
kind of going through the list, you have one aura, one artifact, 24 minions, and 14 magics, and then the
Hmm.
typical 20 sites. Uh, I'm interested to know why Tangle Terrain is the one aura here.
So I don't know why people aren't higher on this card. I know that
Mm-hmm.
Drew from On the Play started like his Entangle Mage thing and like has been talking about
Right.
it, so it's getting more recognition. But this
Mm-hmm.
card is a house against aggro decks, and aggro decks are everywhere.
Right.
And so, especially for me who wants to combo off, and there's been a lot of chatter about how consistent my deck is and like how early you can get the combo.
Mm-hmm.
I can get it typically on turn 5 or 6
Mm-hmm.
on your average game. Um, if I'm against an aggro deck or against somebody where I'm just drawing slow, like I'm not able to get my combo quickly, this single aura buys me 3 turns of not losing life, and I
Mm-hmm.
can dig aggressively for my combo without having to commit to the board. If you don't have Entangle Terrain, you have to commit minions that you'd rather have after you pull the Roots combo off. And so then you're depleting your resources, you're depleting your hand, you're trading rather than just getting aggressive. So it's this aura is really strong. And then in the cup, I actually used it as my kill spell. I entangled their minion and punched their avatar with my I stopped their blocker from being able to defend with entangled terrain and
Right.
one with root spider.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I remember that. The thing that makes this interesting, and I don't know if this is correct or not, uh, but like Belmont Longbowmen and other things can still use their ranged
Mm-hmm.
ability with
Pudge
this,
butcher,
which
yeah.
yeah, because they're already like not moving to do their
Mm-hmm.
attack, so they can just kind of work around this, which
Yeah.
makes them, maybe you move them into the entangled terrain and then be able to
Mm-hmm.
then tap and shoot their avatar or do something else is an interesting play that it just popped into my head there.
It also entangled terrain won me my one of my draft games at the cup.
Nice.
Because I just didn't draft anything. I think there was 3 minions total in my deck above four
Jeez.
mana,
Okay.
including 4 mana. I mean, and
Okay.
like so anything big, I was like, well, I'm just dead, so I'll just like fog up the board and
Mm-hmm.
jam them from using their stuff.
Gotcha. And then I'm assuming entangled terrain is a one off because you have three common sense, so you can't go search it.
3 common sense, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm seer. I have a lot of one ofs, and people always ask me why not more. And it's like because I
Right.
can run all the silver bullets and consistently get in there. My common sense targets are like almost my entire deck.
Yeah, I see that.
The whole
Yeah,
thing
it's
is like
it's a
30
lot.
bucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Going
minus the sites.
Yeah. Going to artifacts, you have one of an angel's egg, which I think is a little bit more interesting. You can't common sense it.
Hmm.
Is it kind of one of those things where it's like, if I see it, cool. If not, I don't necessarily need it, but if I see it, cool.
Yeah, so same thing with Entangle Train. Like Entangle Train's not super helpful against anybody who's like a control deck or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But against aggro, it's helpful. Same thing with Angel's Egg is I would say 70% of the time I'm playing my Ragnarok deck. I don't want it. But if
Gotcha.
I'm in a
Okay.
matchup where I like need it, I'm happy to see it. And I can
Mm-hmm.
always scry it to the bottom.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so I know one game I got put to 2 health before, and it was like I think Roots of Yggdrasil was site number 18, which means it took me 8 turns to get there usually.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I was on a 2 health. I popped Roots, I did my Amazon, and I played a Angel's Egg, and I ended the game at 20 again.
Nice.
Yeah.
The minions, you have three Lancerbear, two Violimp, three Autumn Unicorn, three Quarrelsome Kobold, two Root Spider, four Patrician Cavalry, one Royal Bodyguard, two Sandworm, three Amazon Warriors, and one Atlas Wanderer.
Hmm.
Uh, Honestly, this kind of looks like you mixed Fury Road and the Geomancer roots
So
builds
this deck
together, kind of.
was before Geomancer Roots was out. So
Okay,
I
gotcha. Okay.
uh, but yeah, so I started off, oh god, months and months ago, and I was playing with PK Potato Knight on
Mm-hmm.
Discord. Shout out to PK and Kevin, my Mordic druids forever. They're like my
Nice.
play group. But
Cool.
PK, I was trying to figure out how to make control fun because I liked control when I came from like Magic and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not vibe with Enchantress or Death Speaker really.
Okay.
So PK was like, "Oh, Zalem has a control list that's Seer Roots," and I was like, "Oh, okay." I started playing it, and I liked the Seer, I
Mm-hmm.
liked the idea of Roots, but I didn't like most of the deck. It didn't run a lot of minions. It was all about getting out untargetable sites. So he would play like 3 Gnome Hollows and like a Dome of Osiris, and if he played like a Bedrock, he would put a spider under it. So basically, just no interaction with him. You could never take away his life. And then he would get to 8 mana and you Craterize and Major Explosion, Cone of Flame, that sort of thing. So it was like a big mana deck that ran Roots as like a backup.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I can't, like, I have 3 ways to win in my deck. I don't have extra card draw, and Roots doesn't even feel that good because it's like a panic button. So I didn't love it, but it is very strong, and Zalem's very good with it. But it wasn't for me. And then PK ended up running a version against me that ran Petrosian Cavalry just as a way to push more damage. And I was like, oh, minions. Okay, if I could do the control thing, do the Roots thing, but go more aggressive with minions. So this was around when Fury Road was everywhere. So I tried to build Fury Road with Roots, and it didn't work because it, like, Giantess is just too hard to wake up when you're using your lands more to combo. And it just didn't feel super good. But that was kind of my starting spot. Was I was like, okay, if I start Fury Road, I get these aggressively costed minions, I get like big beaters in, and I'm going for Roots. How can I go from there? But essentially, what it is your Earth minions are what you really need in hand. You get your Roots combo off on turn 5 or 6. You drop an Amazon Warrior on a forward Bedrock, and then you just get aggressive from there. Like, you don't really want the fire minions until they're like kill spells. You play them after Roots has been popped off, and then they deal direct damage. But it's very hard to interact with. I think Ira posted some simulator in the League Discord that says, and this is not likely to happen, but if you were to mulligan aggressively and draw only sites, so never any spells, you get 3 spells the whole game, you've got an 85% chance of getting your Roots combo on turn 5. That's with 0 spells drawn, so you have to have the God Hand. So if you don't have that, it's never going to work. I wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, it's pretty consistent. You can find Roots by turn 5 and reset the game.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're saying that the fire spells are the fire minions are typically just enders for you, or trying to be enders?
Typically, so the best thing you could do is basically you have a Bedrock, you pop Roots, you play Amazon Warriors. You're representing 5 damage per turn, and they are most kill spells are 3 mana. So if they don't have Bedrocks out, they take 3 turns before they can do anything about it. So I'm just gonna apply 15 damage to them. And that's kind of what the unicorns are like, the follow up to that. If you happen to have 2 Bedrocks, then right after Roots, you drop a land, you play a unicorn, and now you're representing 9 damage per turn, and they're not going to have the mana to deal with both. So that's kind of how the way you want to win. Sandworms are to counteract Root Spider, because Root Spider is kind of the death of this deck. Because my whole combo is like, I'm basically setting the game back to turn 1, except for I have a mana advantage and I'm representing damage. If you can fog me with a Root Spider, I'm just dead. So because I don't draw any extra cards, once somebody recovers, you're in trouble. So having a Sandworm is like a 4 power beater. It doesn't get grapple shotted. It doesn't get blazed underground. It doesn't get like trinketed by their Root Spider. It's just too powerful for them to usually deal with. And if it's underground, they can't bury it. They can't polymorph it. It's underground. So it's just a house against Root Spider, which is one of the biggest weaknesses of this deck.
Gotcha.
Cavalry are like just pushing damage after you pop Roots just to finish the game out. And then Kobolds and Violent are usually my targets to end the game.
Gotcha. Okay. The Land Surveyors, I'm assuming, is just for the dig, trying to find the combo.
Yeah, it's so you basically scry Atlas every turn until you've got what you want. And if you were to play a crossroads, you put something on top. The follow up to that would be Land Surveyor to get it off. So that way, next turn you can scry Atlas again.
Oh, okay.
So you just never want to know what's on top of your Atlas, and that's why Land Surveyor is pretty helpful. I usually only want 1 per game. There's 3 in there so that I can find at least 1.
Okay. And then the Amazon Warriors, that's your
the Fat Bottom Girls. Yeah. Those are, they're my MVP for sure.
Nice. And then the Atlas Wanderers, I'm assuming just to reposition to get the roots and sinkhole or whatever in the
Yeah.
right spot.
So people like counters to roots are Courtesan Theus, which you're kind of just screwed. What are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
Atlantean Fate, which you can reposition with Atlas Wanderers. Rift Valley, if they like put you in a spot where you can no longer play a site to combo
Right.
off. And Earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's and Sinkhole, but you should play
Right.
around Sinkhole always. So that's about it. So if they're repositioning your sites to stop you from comboing, you can just Atlas Wanderers to switch them back and you're fine.
Okay.
It's also good late game to like move their avatar closer to you so you can ping them, or move their blocker away so you can finish the game. But it's mostly just a utility card.
Gotcha. The going to the magic here, you have the three common sense, which I've moved to three common sense in my deck that I've been running, and I've seen that I'm kind of again I'm also on the cheaper side of cards when it comes to like I have a lot of commons and I guess ordinaries and exceptionals.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to search 50% of my deck to get something
Mm-hmm.
and being able to do that three times is pretty nice. Don't
Yeah.
think I would ever go to four unless like I'm only going ordinaries. Like there's that many good ordinaries in the game eventually.
Yeah. Or if you have like good mana acceleration, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I originally had started off with cores and P stones, but like I don't
Mm-hmm.
really care about getting to 5 mana. I care about getting to 5 sites basically.
Right.
Um, so it wasn't very helpful. But if you're running a lot of like mana acceleration, you're going to have the extra mana. It's not
Mm-hmm.
bad to have more common sense. But for me, I usually want
Gotcha.
to use. I only ever go up to 5 mana, so and then I start just tapping to draw sites. So
Okay.
I can't get a common sense and play, a Petrosian Cavalry very often.
Gotcha. The dispel here is obviously it's a one up because you can go search it for common sense. So you technically have four,
Mm-hmm.
and it's what kind of why put it in the deck? Were you worried about like Enchantress or other things like that?
It's good against Enchantress. It's good against like Atlantean Fate if they're trying to stop your because it turns
Mm-hmm.
off your roots. It's good
Right.
against Battle Mage if they've got a bunch of things. But really, the most backbreaking way you can win a game is somebody who knows what you're doing, like a Death Speaker,
Mm-hmm.
will hold all their cores in their hand. You'll pop
Okay.
roots and they'll be like, "Cool, sight, core, P-stone," and you're like, "Damn, you're recovered." So if you have a common sense or you've already got a dispel, which I always keep against a Death Speaker, you're like, "Great, walk up, dispel
Dispel
everything you've.
everything.
Yeah, I got rid of 4 of your cards or 3 of your cards. I wasted your turn, and now you're not recovered. You have to be on the back foot again.
Okay. Gotcha. And then Firebolts, I'm assuming just as a finisher. It's really
Mm-hmm.
cheap to be able to shoot them across the board.
Mm-hmm.
The one blaze is interesting because it's not a common sense. So I'm assuming it's just because you are seer, so you can look at the top and see if it's
Mm-hmm.
there, or look for it because you can bottom whatever's on top.
It's redundancy. I've got a lot of finishers in the
Mm-hmm.
deck, and Blaze is a great one.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes people will play around Firebolts a lot more often than they'll play around Blaze.
Okay.
Um, so I like it a lot. But yeah, it's not a common sense target. It's just strong.
Yeah, I agree. I run more than one in my deck, but it's really good.
The
Uh,
list doesn't have much room. Like
yeah,
if you
it's
can
fair,
think if you can
fair.
find something to cut, let me know because I think maybe Angel's Eggs that's it, but I like Angel's Egg. I think it's helpful when it's
That's
helpful. So it's
yeah.
yeah, there's not a lot you can take out, so that's why I keep
Could
the one
you
of.
could you go down to two Amazon Warriors?
No, Fat Bottom Girls is the best. That's the baby. Maybe 2 Land Surveyors, but
Yeah, that might be one. Yeah.
that's what I took. I was running 4. I took one out for Angel's Egg, and then I think I could go down to 2, but yeah,
Because you
it's like a
said that
flex
you
slot.
really don't necessarily like Land Surveyor, and if you do, you just want to see one of.
I want to
Right?
see one
That's what you
every
said?
game.
Right.
Yeah, I want to see one every game, but I don't necessarily want to see 2, so I usually bottom it. And you never want to see it after roots. But if you
I
don't
think
see it, it can be kind of against a very aggressive deck. Not seeing a land surveyor can set you back in a way you don't want to be.
I just think it's easier to find Land Surveyor because you can just common sense target it if you really needed it. But I guess
Yeah,
you're kind of more of the mind that I don't. It's not a target for common
hmm
sense. I would rather just
yeah.
find it on top. Right.
I've never common sense for a land surveyor because there's so many good targets and you want
Mm-hmm.
like 3 of them per game. So you're like, I'd rather just get the Amazon or the Petrosian or the,
Right.
you know,
Okay.
Dispel.
Yeah. This. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe you're right. Do the Angel's Egg, but maybe not do the Angel's Egg. I don't know. You
It's
could
not helpful in
go.
like a lot of games, but in some you're like, thank God it's there.
Yeah. Like maybe you make an argument instead of going up one blaze, you go two entangled terrain and get rid of Angel's Egg. Because
Yeah,
it
common
kind of
sensible.
right. It also fulfills the same purpose, kind of, in the
Mm-hmm.
same like preventing damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's it's valid either way. I like
Yeah.
both.
The Scorched Earth. I have not seen this in a list that I have interviewed yet. So I'm assuming this is just another target for. I haven't seen the sinkholes, but I need to do this now, and I have this.
I actually almost never do that, but it
Okay.
is an option and it's a panic button. That's why it's there originally.
Mm-hmm.
It was like this is a way for me to pop roots, and if you've got 6 mana, you can Scorched Earth and do a Unicorn. That's pretty good. Not quite as
Mm-hmm.
good as Amazon, but it's not bad. But
Gotcha.
really, it's so strong with Bedrocks. If you're playing aggressively, you Atlantean Fate me, you do something else, and I have a Scorched Earth, I'll just target all my Bedrocks with Scorched Earth, blow up all your minions, all your artifacts, blow up your aura, and then I don't lose a site. Just
Mm.
destroy any number of my sites, blow up
Right.
them, which Bedrocks can't be destroyed, and everything else touching them. So I can wipe
That's
out, I
an
can like
interesting
4 for 1
idea.
someone. And
Yeah, I
usually
like
they're
that.
gonna Atlantean Fate on a Bedrock, so you can just target your Bedrock and it gets rid of the aura. And then that you're free with your sites again.
Very cool. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Very cool. Uh, Gigantism. This was one that I was kind of like, okay, I can see it, but like personally, I've seen a lot of Gigantism. Like, I've been playing with Gigantism, and I've taken it out of the deck.
Mm-hmm.
It's felt better, and then sometimes you get a really good combo off, and you're like, man, I Gigantism's really good, but then sometimes it's just a dead card because you're kind of on the back foot and you can't afford the four or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So, kind of, what's your thoughts about Gigantism?
So I considered taking it out a couple of times, but the truth is, if you get it on a kobold, holy crap, you hit them for 16, life
Mm-hmm.
is great.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but realistically, the deck relies on the fact that I'm restricting your mana, which restricts your removal. So I usually a lot of sorcery is back and forth, and it's basically never let them have a minion.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare that people will like untap with 2 minions because there's a whole lot of removal going around.
Right.
But if I'm blowing up all your sites and I follow that up, like in the cup, I think both games against Rob, my
Mm-hmm.
turn after Roots was play a sinkhole, destroy his land, put him back to 0 again, keep hitting him. So if I have 2 bedrocks and I'm going to get to 4 mana before you get to 3, you won't have removed my minion, and I'm going to hit you for an extra 6. And this deck is all about the tempo of finishing the game before you recover. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, so I hitting for an extra 6 power. It's 11 damage on my Amazon. It usually doors them.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it with your root spider. And because they're not able to remove your minions that often, and they usually can't play their blockers of their own. Um, it just helps you finish the game before they have a chance to recover, and that's the whole point. Because most decks have more card draw than I do, so I just have to
Okay.
finish it before they can draw cards.
Gotcha. The infiltrate, the one of this is. I've seen a lot of people adding this back into their decks recently,
Mm-hmm.
because less people are bringing towers or sendhounds or other things like that. So, kind of talk to us why you included the infiltrate.
Honestly, it's just good.
Yeah.
It having 2 would be great too. I just haven't had like much room for it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
need it every game. I have bottomed it in plenty of games when games are going my way. But
Mm-hmm.
if they've got something I have a hard time dealing with, like using River Flame to infiltrate their Root Spider can be game winning. Because again, Root Spider is a weakness of this deck.
Mm-hmm.
Infiltrating their blocker is phenomenal. Infiltrating their minion before popping roots, getting an extra damage, then popping roots and following up the next turn with your Amazon so you can just finish the game out. It's pretty strong as a one of. And again, if you don't
Right.
need it, just bottom it.
Yeah. And then the earthquakes, it's repositioning, it's mass removal, it's I
Just
think a lot
good.
of people consider it one of the best cards in the game right now.
Yep, I would agree. And it's brutal when someone's like, "Oh, I have the plan. They're gonna play the roots. I'm gonna reposition it," and then they're screwed. And you're like, "Cool, I'll just reposition it back, and we'll do it next turn." It's
Hmm.
the chances of them having both are low. So yeah, I don't usually use it. I usually hold it in hand until I'm ready to roots because I want to be able to reposition if that's their game plan is to stop me.
Gotcha. Okay. And then going over to your sites here, you have one arid desert, three bedrock, two crossroads, one gnome hollows, one mirror realm, one oasis, one pillar of Zeros, one quagmire, one red desert, one river of flame, one roots of Yggdrasil, two sinkhole, one smokestacks, and three step. You got a
I
lot of
like
one
one
ofs,
ofs.
bud.
I love one ofs. I I see almost my whole atlas every time. You don't need
Right.
to.
Yeah. It's. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to think here. The Oasis is just a target to make it so you can't bury
Very.
something on there.
Hmm.
Yep.
It's your launch pad.
Right. Pillar of Zeros to get health potentially. Quagmire to slow him down. River of Flame to get rid of. Root Spiders. Roots of Yggdrasil to do the game plan. Sinkholes to help with, to is part two of the game plan.
Hmm.
Uh, Smokestacks to potentially get rid of pesky sites.
So I lost in season 4 to Kevin because he's phenomenal. But Avatar of Air was a bad matchup for us because
Okay.
if they knew what I was doing, they would hold a bottomless pit. And my whole plan is to finish the game before they can recover.
Mm-hmm.
So if I roots and their first site is bottomless pit, I can't hit them. And if their next site they play, you know, to a spot where I have to keep walking to get there, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
take me a while. They can keep pushing me away, or they can push me into the bottomless pit. I'm just never going to finish that game quickly.
Mm-hmm.
If they see that I'm playing a roots deck and they keep a bottomless pit, and so smokestacks I never really want to play before I pop roots, but afterward it's so strong. It stops towers, it stops gnome hollows, it stops free cities, it stops bottomless pit. All of a sudden, I can win that matchup.
Gotcha. Okay. And then
Yeah,
steps just because it's the double threshold,
threshold.
be able
Hmm.
to get what you need out.
Yeah, you don't want to waste two sites on threshold. So if I oftentimes will bottom a step. I only really keep it if I need the threshold like that turn for something.
Mm-hmm.
But after roots, it's good just to get one site with double threshold, and then you're good for the rest of the game. You can just go for utility sites.
Right. And honestly, you're running a lot of low to the ground threshold. You only have a couple targets that are double, and then you have the one that's triple.
Mm-hmm.
The trying to think. When I see mirror realm in decks, I usually ask people what you're mirroring. So what are you mirroring when you see mirror realm, or what are the targets you're looking for?
Most of the time, it is Mirror Realm on Bedrock before I've done Bedrock.
Fair.
Um, every once in a while, I'll mirror Realm one of their red sites so I can get a threshold if I really need it.
Okay.
It's really good for Quagmire. You were
Mm-hmm.
talking about how good Quagmire is to stop them from attacking you, and before Roots, Quagmire is exactly that. It stops Battle Mage, it stops Avatar of Earth because it stops all units.
Mm-hmm.
Um, After roots, it also stops their defenders. So if they have like a defender on one site, they're here and you want to attack, you could just mirror realm the quagmire near them, stop their
Mm-hmm.
defender from doing anything, and then punch them.
Gotcha. Okay. And
Yeah,
then
it's
Gnome
just pretty good.
Hollows is kind of a defensive piece, I'm assuming, for this, or maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
It seems interesting.
it's uh it's a one of because if I need it, I want it, and I don't need it in
Mm-hmm.
most matchups. It's
Gotcha.
super good against Avatar of Earth if they're running Grapple Shot. You just play it as your second site up.
Gotcha.
Um, Against Battle Mage, same thing. It
Mm-hmm.
turns off their grapple shot. It means they have to work around you. It usually buys
Right.
you 2 turns because
Mm-hmm.
Battle Mage is, interestingly enough, I think a good matchup for us. I think we win that game most times, specifically
Okay.
because you have tech against them. They are aggressive enough where if you don't have a Gnome Hollows or a Quagmire or something else, they can door you before you go to get your combo. But if you can play the Gnome Hollows as your second sight, they're just slowed down just enough to make it. They have to like walk up to you. Then I pop roots and they're already on my site. It's like easy for me just to beat them down with Amazon. I don't have to walk anywhere.
Okay.
It's pretty strong, and it's good against Jin combo. If I'm sitting on a Gnome Hollows, they can't cast their Nimbus Jin with a Summoning Sphere on top
Right.
of me, and I'm not going to get doored.
Nice. Then I'm trying to look here. Did you just like? I don't know. I've seen some people do this, and I'm like, why? Like, it's the same card. It like Red
The
Desert and Air
deserts.
Desert are the same thing. Like,
I liked it. I liked having the different arts, and it also helps
fair.
when, especially if you're a site deck and you are like churning through your deck so often. Like at the cup, I saw 10 sites turn one in 3 separate games.
Right. Okay.
So I was. It's just nice to see like different site. Like, okay, cool. I can mark that off. I can mark that off. I know what else is there. If I see like an air desert, it's like, how many am I running again? This way, I'm like
Gotcha.
air desert
Gotcha.
down, red desert down, because
Gotcha.
it rarely does it come down to this. But like if you're getting really aggroed out and you never got anything to defend yourself, and you don't have time to get exactly what you want, you just go, all right, I've got 4 sites left in my deck. How many of them keep me alive? And
Mm-hmm.
this kind of helps me keep track of it. And then you just blind draw a site. Because I usually, if I don't want the site I scry, I just take a spell instead to reinforce my hand.
Gotcha. So they're kind of just markers instead. Like Red Desert and Air
Mm-hmm.
Desert being different art makes it so that you can
Yeah.
visually remember what they are. Okay, that makes
It's
sense.
easier for me to remember than I have two. I'm down one. It's like, did I see that site? No,
Mm-hmm.
that's like a different
Right.
art. I know it's bottomed.
And then Crossroads are kind of part C to the Sinkhole and Roots combo.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's one of those things where it's like sometimes like I give advice, sometimes oh, I think maybe this would be interesting or whatever. But it's really hard for me to do so when it's like I won the Courtesan Cup. It's like, okay, yeah, I can't give you any better advice.
I it's
It
I
seems
don't know that I'm
very tight.
touching this list anymore. Yeah, there might be room. I think that you could flex out gigantism because I don't use it that often, but when I do, it's great. Angel's Egg, again, 80% of the games you don't need it, but when you want
Mm-hmm.
it, it's really nice. So you could flex that out.
Mm-hmm.
You could. I think the easiest thing to cut would be a land surveyor for something else. It's just, again, I don't usually see three. I
Mm-hmm.
sometimes will see two and bottom one, but I always want one. So like I don't know. I think it's kind of
Yeah,
where I
no,
want it to
it
be.
seems good. um, Kind of going into the Courtesan Cup, uh, and having this deck, and you just had topped the online tournament, and you had tweaked some things. Kind of, what were the decks you were worried about seeing going into the tournament? Kind of, what were you planning for the most with this deck?
I have so one of the good and bad things about this deck is my matchups are most of them are good.
Mm-hmm.
I in that I think that now that this is such like a popular and like publicly seen deck, the
Mm-hmm.
meta will shift.
Right.
But I really only lost to heavy bedrock decks
Mm-hmm.
and Avatar of Air, which I changed the list to deal with. So now I mean, it's not like an easy matchup, but it's a lot better for me. Um, Geo roots, not really the
Right.
roots part, but the fact that they're just going to get 3 bedrocks out and like, what's the point in even popping roots at that point? Like,
Right.
great, we're both on 2 mana. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And my buddy
Well.
Bloom, his name is Mike. He built
Mm-hmm.
a mono Earth Sorcerer aggro deck or mid range, and that also crushed me at the cup like 18-0 because he's just like, I think his first 3 sites are Bedrock, Mirror Realm, the Bedrock, third site's Bedrock, and I'm like, cool, guess I'm dead.
Gotcha. Uh, the Yeah, I was gonna ask you about Geomancer just being, him having that ability to tap and just, it's like, oh, you just gave me all these rebels. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll just I have my whatever bedrocks I have, and then I can just go from there, and I can still
Yeah,
draw those spells as well as play sites. Where I think your
yeah.
benefit is that anything else besides Geomancer, it's one of those, okay, now I have to draw a site instead of
Mm-hmm.
drawing a spell because I need to get back to my mana, where
Mm-hmm.
Geomancers can do both.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. So my deck wins by setting everyone back and then winning with just aggression before they have a chance to recover.
Mm-hmm.
Geomancer doesn't get set back as easily, and they continue to draw spells while playing sites. So they win in card advantage, they win in like mana advantage. It's a bad matchup, and I don't know that I can do much about that. That's why I was just like hoping to dodge them in the final four, and I did, and I was really happy about that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that the benefit you had was that the Death Speakers kind of, I think, potentially rooted out the Geomancers.
Mm-hmm.
because death speakers can kind of do that whole control, do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people, and I don't know, I've been I've been a huge geomancer for a long time, a huge fan of him, and it was one of those things where I never actually read Roots of Yggdrasil. I was just like, that's a cool art. I'm putting that in my
Mm-hmm.
finished beta set. All right, done. It was just like, it was just a card I never like really thought of the potential of. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just never played with it with Geomancer.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I saw that Geomancer deck come out with Roots, I was like, well, that's cool. But I don't really like that, so I'm not going to do that. Like, it was just one of those things where
Yeah.
I was like, I don't really, like, it's cool and all, but I would rather just continue my game plan of being able to have the six to start
Mm-hmm.
with, which everyone else has to keep on drawing spells. And I can just, no, sorry. They have to draw sites to get to six, and I don't have to draw sites to get to six. And
Mm-hmm.
then I just wait for a land surveyor to show up to get to seven and eight if I really need to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just one of those things where I was like, I don't really want to reset. Like that seems like a very like boring thing.
Yeah.
Like yours seems something that I would actually potentially like
Mm-hmm.
because it's more aggressive than the Geomancer one, which is I'm just gonna stall the game and then we can both just rebuild, but I'll rebuild faster and so I will win in the
Yeah.
long run.
Yeah. And that's why I think this deck is more consistent against other decks because
Mm-hmm.
my game plan is, yeah, I'm gonna find my roots, and I do. I was wearing this shirt, and I think it was Chase or Simon was like, "Oh, did you pop roots?" And I was like, "Yep, every game."
Every game.
Yeah, I was like 12 for 12. Yep, like you find it no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if you're gonna go to Death's Door first, you find it.
Nice.
And I did have 2 games where I was on Death's Door before I even popped roots and came back for the win.
Mm-hmm.
But it's consistent, and the game plan isn't to get to 8 mana, right? Like I was saying, the
Right.
original Seer deck was like Craterize. Geomancer uses Craterize. It's like that's very good, and you can get
Mm-hmm.
there with the roots, but it's more of a fine. We'll reset and I'll outvalue you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas mine is like, oh, I'm getting roots and I'm using it to just win the game before we ever get to 8. And that was the other thing is like it's not a panic button. It's like a proactive strategy. Like against a
Right.
Death Speaker, even if they don't have anything on the field, if they're at 5 mana, I'm popping roots because I'm
Right.
stopping them from getting to 6. Half the cards in their hand are worthless, and they're not going to be able to draw because of it.
Right. It was really interesting. I was watching live as you know, uh, I'll be honest, kind of destroyed your opponent. It kind of felt I kind of felt bad for your opponent to be honest, because
He's a
at
really
first I
good
was
player.
at first I
It's
was
just
like I
not a good
saw,
match.
yeah, it's not, and it was really interesting because I think it was the first time that day I got to watch you. I don't know if you were on any other
Mhm.
matches, but it was really interesting to see how Zaylan was like, I don't know if he should have popped that then, and then you put down the Amazon Warriors, and I was like, wait, how the hell did he just put down an Amazon Warriors? Doesn't he have no mana? And then I was like, well, turn order, this happens. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I was like, holy
Yeah.
cow, that changes everything with roots. Is like that you can be able to then pop and do that and reset your opponent. One question I had for you with obviously the meta will shift and we'll,
Hmm.
we'll we'll see the counter and then we'll see the counter to the counter and all of that stuff that usually happens, but
Hmm.
kind of do you see this style of play potentially being a problem with people being able to consistently do this and no one being able to, besides, like it's like you either have to play Geomancer or you play the Seer. Could you see that being a problem or no?
Great question. And it's funny. I've been all over the like Discord recently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have been on this list for like months now, just trying to like
Right.
make it perfect because I went into season 4 and I was just playing a lot. I work in an ICU and I switch from days to nights twice a month. So like
Gotcha.
randomly, I'll be like, oh, for example, tonight I'm working tomorrow night. I have to be up until like 5 or 6 in the morning so that I can sleep all day and then switch my schedule. So I'm playing sorcery tonight from like the time my wife goes to bed until 6 in the morning. So like I've
I
just gotten
might
a chance
hit
to
you up
play.
to play a game then.
I'm down. That's what I'm saying. But like that's why I've gotten so many reps in. It's just like it's 3 in the morning. What else am I doing? And I'm like, let's play some sorcery.
Right.
Um, and so I've been doing this list for so long, and now that I don't have, there's no constructed tournaments I'm in until AL drops. So I've just been like, all right, how do I beat this? I'm gonna see it, and I've built 5 decks already in the last week.
Hmm.
And I think the truth is this deck is always going to be good.
Right.
Uh, Geomancer is good into this, and just like I would have lost, I think I would have lost if I was up against a Geomancer in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all of a sudden, everyone playing Bedrocks, Avatar of Earth is good. And then, well, who's good against
Right.
Avatar of Earth, right? So the meta is just going to shift entirely because people are
Uh-huh.
going to be like, oh, everybody's playing Bedrock. Sorry, my puppy just walked in.
No,
So
you're
now
good.
what's good? All right, perfect. We're good with our Avatar of Earth. And then somebody who's good against Avatar of Earth is going to be like, great, that's going to be meta. I can play that. So I think that the meta is still going to be healthy. My deck has weaknesses. And the other thing is people aren't playing Courtesan Theus. I don't know why. But Courtesan Theus into Roots is brutal.
Right.
Uh, and so is Discard. I don't draw a single extra card the whole game. If
Mm-hmm.
anybody hit me with a Men of Lang, which is not popular, fine.
Right.
But if you did, I discard what? My combo piece that I need, or one of the 3 spells that I've still got in my hand. Like,
Right.
oh, I'm down to nothing. Roots doesn't even help me now.
Mm-hmm.
And then mixes are not a bad. Mixes were like, so everyone thought they were like the Power 9, they're amazing. And then they're like, well, we don't play them because they're not consistent. And now it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, post Roots, it's just mix, bury, your Amazon's gone. We're both just set back. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there are plenty of counters that exist. Building your deck to counter this deck will make your deck weaker to other things.
Right.
But that means that the meta will be healthy, right? It's not just going to
Right.
be Ragnarok and the counter. It'll be like people who prey on the counter to Ragnarok. And
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it'll be. I think people are smart. I think that my deck is very good in the current meta, but I think it'll shift and it'll be fine.
Right. Yeah. I'm the sucker that made his YouTube channel the Sorcerer's Quest, so I keep on playing Sorcerer. Um,
It's a really good avatar.
he's my
I like
favorite
the
avatar.
you've got the art in the
Yep,
background.
I got him. I haven't reached out to her, but I'm tempted to go like get a print like from the artist and
Mm-hmm.
maybe if she still has one, which I doubt. But maybe a artist proof of one would be really cool too. But
That would be sick. Do you have the oh god, it's so funny. I also feel like a little bit so day 2 of the cup I thought I was gonna lose, right?
right.
I haven't drafted that much.
Hmm.
And my draft deck was really consistent, right? I only went 2 colors. I ran like 17 minions, and
Right.
all but 3 of them were 3 mana or less. So
Hmm.
like I'm gonna be able to do my thing. I just have to hope they don't have bombs. But I was like, I'm so dead. Like I'm so screwed. And so I was like, well, whatever. I'll flex a little. So I played like my Crown Sorcerer as
I
my
don't have one.
yeah. I played my Crown Sorcerer as my avatar, and I was like the whole time I'm like I'm so dead, and then yeah, it went well. It was really
Yeah,
funny.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I unfortunately where I live, I there are no tournaments near me. It's all East
Hmm.
Coast. So I'm in Montana, so
Oh, cool.
I'm kind of the furthest away from anything
But you got the
besides
big sky.
maybe Washington.
Yeah.
Huh?
You got the big sky
Yeah.
though. It's really pretty.
Yeah, it is pretty. But it's one of those things where like if I could have, I would have, been able to play and potentially win a Crown Sorcerer. But I'm hoping that they continue that trend and that I can potentially top 8 something and get one, which would
Mhm.
be cool. But yeah, are you going to Vegas? I didn't ask you this.
Yeah, I wasn't going to.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to Gen Con or Vegas. This was like my big tournament of the year. And so I was like, hey, I said to my wife, I'm like, if I win the cup, like
Can I
I
go
could go
to
to
another
Vegas,
one?
right? And she was like, sure. If you win the Courtesan Cup, you can go to Vegas. And I was like, sweet. And then I won. I was like, she's like, yeah, yeah, you could go to Vegas. So I'm going to Vegas.
Nice. I will be there,
Yeah,
so you'll have to
it'll
say
be fun.
hi at least. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll I'll probably bring this deck, but I'm hoping to have something else too by then. I'm trying not to
Well,
be
I think
locked into this.
ALL. I think AL will be out by then. Like going
Hmm.
into it, I think AL will be out. So yeah, I think that everything will be changed once AL comes out. Like
Which is
it's
pretty exciting.
right. We're gonna have like 200 something more cards to
Hell yeah.
mess around with. So it's gonna be a crazy time. Everyone's gonna be trying to figure it out, which we've been trying to figure out beta for
I know,
ever,
right?
and
Yeah,
we
it's
still
been
haven't figured
years.
it out.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's really interesting because maybe it's just because the population of the game and the amount of players we have, and that's why it's taking us forever. Versus other games, it's like, no, you play this and we already figured it out in like 3 weeks after the cards come out because there's
Hmm.
300,000
7
people.
million. Yeah.
Yeah. Where this game, it's so niche and just so small right now that it's you'd only have you have X amount of players playing the game. Then you have an X of those players that care enough to play
Be
competitively.
competitive. Yeah.
And so like I don't know, like how many people were at the Courtesan Cup?
Uh,
It was like
people, I think it
100
was close to
people?
100 and change. I think competing it was like 90 and change, or like 90.
Right. So you think about that and then you think like a Magic tournament and it's like it's so many more people. Like
Yeah.
you've 200 plus people playing in a tournament and it's insane where like this it's like yeah, like you know
90 of
90
us
people.
cared enough to put together the most competitive thing we could. And
Right.
yeah.
So I just think that's interesting and I try to play as many games as I can and my buddy challenged me but not challenged me to basically I he he basically said I don't know if I can play with you anymore because I haven't been able to beat you in 3 months. And
Hmm.
well, I was like, I don't know, like it, like
Yet good. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, it was one of those things where it's like, I do want to say it, but I also don't want to like say it.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where I was like, well, like your Flamecaller deck seems to be doing all right. Like I think you need to make some changes, but I think you could do it. And he's like, well, I don't know, like he was kind of like brushing off like my opinions on what he should
Hmm.
switch out. And so without saying it, he kind of challenged me to like build the deck I said would be better Flamecaller wise.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm gonna bring it on Thursday. I'm not gonna tell him. And
Uh-huh.
just bring it on Thursday and be like, hey, where to play and see what
Yeah.
happens.
Let's see who the champ is.
And
No, I love that.
yeah, I just one of those things where it's like I think I have a good enough knowledge to build a deck, but it's one of those things where like I don't know, like again, you're never gonna know until you actually go to a bigger tournament and find out how good you are. But it was one of those things where it's like, at least locally, I'm pretty good. I
Yeah.
think it's funny
Play online.
because
Join
yeah,
the league Discord. It
yeah,
humbles you quick. I lost a
yeah,
lot of games to PK before I beat him for the first time.
yeah. I've definitely played a decent amount of games now online, and yeah, I've definitely been humbled a decent amount. But it's one of those things where there's no such thing as a deck that's foolproof.
Hmm.
Like
Exactly.
some guy's gonna find it's gonna be like I think this deck's good and I'm gonna play it, and then you realize, oh yeah, it's the exact counter to my deck, and
Yeah. Yeah.
all
Yeah, and
right,
that's what, like, this deck is great, and I think it's really good. And if you want to go to a tournament, bring Ragnarok, like bring it to your Thursday night games. It's gonna win most of the like matchups, but like
I don't need them hating on me more.
someone's gonna play Geomancer, and you're gonna be like, yeah, I got nothing. Good game. Like,
Right.
yeah, it's beatable. And I think as people change, it'll win. But I was gonna say
Mm-hmm.
to you,
Yeah.
my local friends don't play this very much. I own all the cards, and I like will build them decks and just hand them what they like, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun to build, not like jank decks, but to build decks that are not meta and try to play it against
Mm-hmm.
them. And like me and my buddies, we it's like our play group is like the Mordic Druids.
Nice.
It's just like a joke, but they'll be like, let's break a card. And so like, okay, cool. So what are we breaking? And we built like Yokai Kappa decks because we'd never seen it. And we didn't break it. It wasn't like overpowered, but we're like, okay, that's cool. And then we were like, okay, what's next? Like, a nightmare. Okay, we're gonna make nightmare good. And like my nightmare deck is crap, but God, is it fun? It's just Avatar of Air, Wind Sylphs, and Nightmare, and it's just movement. It's like
Gotcha.
I'm moving you all over, and it's gonna make it terrible for you and amazing for me. And like this
Mm-hmm.
bottomless pit's gonna be the most broken card you've ever seen. So you just like I don't know. I think that's how you find and break like metas. It's just like okay, well, what about this card we've never seen? Let's make it good. Like Entangled Terrain is super good, and you're talking Bowmen aren't inhibited by it, and neither is the Avatar of Earth. And
Mm-hmm.
so like okay, all of a sudden this card is really good.
Like I think a range deck with Entangled Terrain would be really good
I
because you
yeah.
can't like you. It's like okay,
What do
I
you
don't
do?
have to move, and what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
All your
and there's
blockers
four of
are.
them, and they're common sensible. The 8 of your cards are going to be what you want, and like the ranged minions are common anyway. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
yeah,
think
no,
yeah,
I
it's
agree.
it's yeah. There's just again, it's like they showed up, gave us 400 and something cards, said have fun for a year plus, and we'll see you when we want to drop another thing, and you guys have to figure it out. And it's again, I don't think it like one thing I've been tempted to try to do, and I don't know. I've seen the battle mage version of this, but of course I want to try a sorcerer version of this. Is like I've been a huge fan of like the void cards, but I don't know
Hmm.
how to break the void cards because it's one of those things where like yeah, the skirmish aspect of being able to go from the void into an area and like attack it is really good. It just seems like as the board expands, it becomes less and less viable,
Hmm.
as well as I think like if Roots just like zeroed it out, there were no rubble, it just zeroed out the
Hmm.
battlefield, then
Yeah,
like maybe a void deck would be really good. But because then like I don't know, yeah, you could do some weird things then. But
I I think Void is interesting. I don't know that it's. I mean, I never really put thought to this before, but Void is good because you can't hit it, right? Everything is summoning
right,
stick. Very, very limited things have like charge. So Void is good because you can play your Spectral Stalker, give it a Maddening Bells. They can't do anything about it, but it's coming.
mm-hmm,
And then you get on their site. So I don't know. I think you could do something with like artifacts and Void, right? Like you're like, okay, land deed and replication, and okay, now I'm doing another one. So I'm just gonna like cover your sites and
right.
restrict your mana and
I've been
Maddening Bells
tempted
you
to
so you
do
can't
like
remove it.
a I've been tempted to do like a like Battle of Rohan style deck, and you just like run the bomb to them with Doomsday
Hmm.
Device. It
Replicate it.
just
Make
yeah,
two of
it
them.
just see what happens there. That'd be
Yeah,
kind of fun.
I think it could be good, and you could like throw it at them with that. I don't even know. There's like the Far East Assassin or something. Throw the bomb at them, turn
Mm-hmm.
it into a minion, right? You can
Right.
whatever that. What is it? Poltergeist. Turn it into a minion. Start beating them with the bomb, and then
Yeah,
it
I think so.
explodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's interesting things to do with it, but yeah, I think one thing that was interesting that I heard recently was that like the void is its own region.
Hmm.
So like projectiles don't work how they should,
Hmm.
which kind of sucks because it's like then you can't just from the void grapple shot something.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right, which would be
Yeah.
really good because then you could just immediately come from the void into, the existing space to do
Yeah.
something, but you can't do that.
But you can attack into it and then grapple shot once you're in
Right.
there. And again, I
Mhm.
think the power of the void is that it's not targetable. Like Lord of the Void is not a he's a zero, he's like a 9 mana zero power, right? But like,
Yeah.
what are they gonna do about it? You can't
Right.
interact with him, so I'm safe.
Mhm.
So that's why he's powerful.
Right. Yeah, I
I
think that they just need to make
I've
a
run
couple
some
more
Lord of the
void.
Voids.
Yeah. I Dude, okay, so the first time I had played it with a couple guys online like but not like on the sorcery discord where
Hmm.
anyone can jump in and just watch you. And I was like, one person was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Like, screw it. Let's do it on this time." And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Why not? Like, sure." And I completely got my butt handed to me, and there were like 10 people in the call, and I was like, "Yep, this is
Sweet.
great." I was like, thank you
But it
so
is.
much. And
Yeah.
it was like someone that I had played with before, so it was just like one of those things where I was like, I should have just brought a deck I knew better, not just like trying to do something fancy.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's one of those things. But
People watch me lose all the time on Discord. I always
fair
mess
enough.
up.
I kind of finish this off. I wanted to ask a couple questions for you that are
Yeah.
not necessarily, roots related, but kind of, if you can, this is a question I ask a bunch of people and it kind of stumps them. So
Oh, great.
if you need to, we can go to three. If we can, do one. What's your favorite artist?
God.
I told you it's really bad. But it's always fun to kind of try to get the answers of at least three.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, so I think one of my favorite arts, besides the Courtesan, I really hope Lindsay Lee becomes a sorcery artist because like the Courtesan is, holy crap, gorgeous.
Well,
Um,
yeah, and you get to own it. That's freaking cool.
it's right over there.
Can you
Yeah,
grab it real quick?
yeah. I haven't framed it yet,
Yeah,
which is why it's not hanging.
gotcha.
I have to go to like a framer soon, but here it is.
Holy cow! How big is
Yeah,
it?
it's
Like
pretty big.
six. That's
It,
like 24 by.
the damn glare. I don't want it to be. There you go.
It's like 18 by 24, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so good. So
Dang,
like,
that is
I know,
wow. Yeah, it's
I
so
know,
cool.
I know. I'm like in awe that I own this thing, which is insane. And I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
you got the True Parish one too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So I didn't get to see this one up close. So it's three.
it's like a Native American, a pilgrim, and then like a wizard. It looks like.
Gotcha. Okay. And they're supposed to represent like three people in the community, right?
I have no idea if that's true or not. That's what Ron said. So it's so funny. Ron like handed me this, and he's like, "Show the camera." I'm like, "I didn't know. Was this released? Like, I didn't know this was a thing." And I was like, "Holy crap!"
Right.
But yeah, he said it was Ron. I think too fluent, so Luis, and then
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure if
I think it was supposed to be Louis
was it supposed to be?
from the kitchen table or
Was
whatever.
it?
I
Maybe.
think so. I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't like tell me that. They just handed it to me, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. So my first signed card ever. Oh, what is this? Was Truett Parrish's Highland Clansman. So that's I
Okay,
think one of
cool.
my favorite arts. Um, and then obviously I really like Lindsay, but she's not necessarily a sorcery artist yet. But I think she might be. 'Cause she's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that that
Um,
that painting's really good.
yeah, right. I'm like, damn that. Yeah, and then I
So
really
I
like Jeff
have,
Mangus too.
yeah, no offense to Drew Tucker, and I don't think he
No.
will watch this, but like, I'll be honest, I even Frank Verzetta, I think that's my favorite rendition of Theas is the Lindsay one.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. One of my buddies, actually sent me. He proxied it already.
Brandon.
He took. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I was gonna shout him out because I was like, I'm not sure. I don't know what the rules are, but he like.
So the funny thing is he showed me it, and I was like, I'm a press operator. Do you want to send me the file and I can just print it for you on like some nice stock? And he's like,
Uh-huh.
you sure? I was like, yeah, dude, I can literally slip in a couple of sheets of paper and run it for you real quick. He's like, really? I was like, yes, dude, just send it over.
Yeah.
And I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah. I
ship.
want one.
Yeah, I'm gonna ship him out them, and then he's gonna do something with them. But yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah. No, bring one to Vegas, please.
okay,
I was like,
yeah,
I told Brandon, I was like, I want that so bad. Like, why are you so good at this? That's amazing. Because I agree. I really like, and I can't believe I actually have an alpha foil now, but I have the alpha foil.
yeah, that's crazy one too.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And now I have this, and I was like, I get to have a card version. And then they also sent me sleeves with the Lindsay Lee. The avatar art is the her proof. It's just her sketch, and
Oh,
then the
of
rest
the
of them are
courtesan.
of the courtesan, and then the
Okay.
actual painting are the sleeves for the other one.
That's sick. That's
I
very
know.
cool.
I was like, this is so good. They just kept handing me stuff. They're like, and dice. And I was like, sweet. And a playmat. I'm like, awesome. They're like, deck box, cool. Like sleeves. I'm like, this is great. Yeah, it was such
Very
a
cool.
wild. It was a very wild experience.
So I haven't showed this on camera, and I will. I am offer. I will offer you one. Just send
Okay,
me your address, and I will ship one to you.
sure.
I made this, so it's a Donnybrook hotel key,
That's amazing.
and so you can choose a number or whatever, and then it says Donnybrook Inn for adventurers of unknown realms, established in 2022, which is when the alpha
Yeah,
Kickstarter started. So,
that's
yeah,
sick.
if you want one, just tell me what number you want, and I will send that off your way.
I'll take 11.
11? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm already sold.
sweet,
I'm ready. Let's go. No,
cool.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
so many like talented people in the community. You're like, holy shit, you like made all this stuff. Like, yeah,
dude, I think it might be a problem because I'm not like I'm like I might need to add another carry on because there's some stuff I want to bring, and I'm not
uh huh,
certain if it's gonna all make it
all
into the
fit.
bag. But
Yeah,
yeah, like so I'm the type of guy that invests in machines. Eh,
sure,
and so I have the laser. I just got a screen printer,
awesome. Yeah.
and then I have 3D printers, a vacuum chamber for resin printing, resin
Oh,
stuff
that's really cool. Yeah.
because I used to do used to manufacture dice. I had like a little business that I made for them, but yeah, I just
Cool.
again you're gonna if you see me, you might have to ask me, be like, hey, do you have some little stuff or whatever? Because I
Yeah,
might just be like, here you
what you
go.
got?
Here's
Spencer, what you got?
yeah, because I have a bunch of stuff that I'm probably gonna bring. I might bring some T-shirts
Nice.
to the event and things, but yeah,
Oh yeah, that's
I'm
awesome.
super excited. Yeah, it's gonna be the first time I'm leaving. Well, not leaving Montana, but this is the first time I'm going to a major event in over a year for a card game. So
Mm,
I'm super excited to get back out and be able to meet new people and do that kind of thing again because I
yeah.
used to play Flesh and Blood,
Hmm.
and then some stuff happened locally with my community, and I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore with you guys. So uh, one of the guys I played with, he was like, yeah, I'm also jumping ship. There's also this game called Sorcery, and I was like, okay, cool. I was like, I have a kid on the way though, so like I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to like if there's like a bunch of sets, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it. And he's like, that's the great thing. There's only one set a year, and I was like, really? I was like,
I'm
how the hell
interested.
is this gonna work? They're
Yeah.
like, he's like, trust me, it somehow is going to work. I was like, okay, cool. And so yeah, he gave me like some cards to like look at and stuff, and then I got hooked. I got the pre-con betas and got the mat, and then the greatest part about it, my wife is not a card game person. She's more of a
Sure.
board game person.
Cool.
And I kind of was like, well, I'm kind of interested in getting into this other card game. It's one set a year, so like we might be able to afford it and do all that kind of stuff. And she's like, okay, well, like send me some videos of some stuff for like YouTube so I can like learn how to play it. And I was like, really? And
Hmm.
she's like, yeah. Came back like 20 minutes later. She's like, I think this will be really cool. We should get into this. And I was like, okay,
That's really
sweet.
awesome.
So our coffee table quite literally always has a mat out on it, and we just sit down and play like 2 or 3 games a week or whatever
That's
with it.
awesome.
But it's
Oh
yeah,
my
it's a
god.
ton. Yeah,
Yeah, I love that.
for a long time she refused to play anything besides water. She was like, I'm
Hmm.
playing water. I don't care if
It's
it's
great.
bad. I'm
It's
playing
fun.
water. And she's beaten me a couple of times. Like I have not met a single person on the discords or anything that is as devoted as she is to water, and she's beaten me a couple times with it. And I wouldn't be surprised if she actually sat down and like honed the deck to
Hmm.
like a fine edge. I wouldn't be surprised if some people that are good in the community wouldn't be like, how is this as good as it's as it is? Because water's supposed to be like the worst element,
It's
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Is
but
is it mono water?
yeah, she's
Okay,
like,
then
I
I'm
refuse.
impressed.
It's water. It's just water.
Because water with like so water's a great splash color. Water with splashes of other things can still be
Hmm.
good. I've seen some good ones, but mono water, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
her favorite play is to slap down a porcupine's turn one, and then slap down Angel's Egg turn 2, and then submerge it and just say, "All right,
Good luck.
I get to do the long game now and you have to deal with it."
Can I make a suggestion to ruin your life but make your wife happy?
Go
Does
ahead.
she run replication?
No, she doesn't, but I know about the
Replicating an
card.
angel egg?
Yeah, I know.
You can have 4 angel's eggs.
Yeah.
You gain 8 life per cycle. Like, can you
Yeah.
20 to 0 me? If not, don't even bother.
Right. Yeah, and she does the long game for sure. She's like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna stall out and get the big guys out because I like the big guys, and then
Hmm.
she, one of her favorite cards is the Great Old One, and
Yeah.
so she
I have a
just,
great old one deck.
yeah, uh, the most brutal play she ever did on me is I was like, oh, is she like she does the frog like thing? So she played the 3 frogs on from the temple pool, and then she played the 7 on the same site, and then just slowly moved them towards me, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like, why do I care about these zeros? And then she's like, Lord of Unland. Then next turn, Great Old One. Now they're all water and all are able to be submerged. And so she like just slapped me with a bunch of frogs, and I was like, dang it. I was like, this is ridiculous.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
she's awesome. Yeah, she's doing some water stuff, and I'm like, it's made me want to go away from my Earth Fire Sorcerer deck for and try it out. And
There's some cool. Even
yeah,
at the tournament, there was somebody played Bridge Trolls, and I was like, "Did you accidentally put this in your deck? Like, do you want to go get a real card and put it in instead?" He's like, "No, they're good," and I'm like, "Okay, let's see your Bridge Trolls be good." And he was running a Candelamas Monk, Mask of Mayhem Bridge Troll combo.
uh huh,
So if you're forced to do combat and the bridge troll defends, and if they defend, then they
you
get
lose your
all your
turn.
mana.
Yeah,
Well, you get all
basically
your
you
mana
lose.
and you lose the turn because of the bridge. So yeah, he was forcing combat that way, and then he would do Mask of Mayhem doubles the strike damage,
Right.
and he would do like whirling blades. So he would just I think he domed somebody for 24 in an actual tournament match against like Enchantress. He was
Jeez.
just like, I get all your mana and I'm gonna do some insane stuff. This will be great.
Nice. That's very
Yeah.
cool.
So like
Yeah.
water, it could do it.
Yeah, I think water has more legs than people. I think most people just read it off and were like, okay, yeah, no, like, I'll just go to something else. And everyone
Hmm.
just says water's bad, so I'm just not even going to try with it.
Hmm.
So I don't know. There might be something there.
Yeah.
The kind of going back onto some questions here. I think you and me could talk for hours.
Yeah.
So you said Jeff Menges, Lindsay, if she was a sorcery artist, and
Truitt.
um,
I
Truitt.
really like Truitt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I at least like the Highland Clansman's insane. I think the one he did for I love Border Militia. Like
Yeah,
as a
that's a
card
cool
and as
card.
an art, like
Yeah,
it's just beautiful. I got him to sign that one too.
nice.
Um yeah, I'd say those three.
Gotcha. If you had to commit to an element in the game and not play anything else, what element would you choose? If you had to sign on to being a team member of a certain element, which one would you do?
Sure. If we're talking like what's the best, I think Earth is. But if we're talking like I can only play one for my enjoyment, it's Air. I love Avatar
Fair.
of Air. I think that card draw is good, but like also just Avatar of Air and movement is so fun. I would do that.
Nice. Air.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Air is, but I think Earth is busted, but it's not my most. It's like not the most fun to me. I'd rather play Air.
Yeah. I with the 4 precons I got into, I was so Sierra. My wife was like, "I'll play water," and I was like, "Okay, cool. I'll try these other 3." And then I liked Geomancer more than the other 3, and I was like, "Okay, I think I like Earth the most." And so then I just
Hmm.
kept on putting Earth cards into my decks, and it's a problem now because I'm like, every
It's
time
really
I
good.
every time I play like something else that doesn't have Earth, I'm like, man, I miss my common sense. Like being able just to go fetch something is really nice.
Just being able to shuffle is really nice,
Yeah,
right? Like, yeah, just like as a seer, you bottom something, you're like, I don't want it now, but I might later, and I can shuffle because I've
yeah,
got common sense. But not
yeah.
being able to shuffle, you're like, oh, that's so brutal.
You know what? I might try a Seer Earth deck. Might be what I tackle next. Is just a
Give
mono
Ragnarok a shot.
Seer
It's
Earth.
fun. Yeah.
I don't. Okay, so I don't want to do it because you did it, and the reason being is because if I bring it next week, they're gonna be like, "You're just a net decker. All you do is just play the
But
best
we've met
deck."
now.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's
Bring
one
it
of
and hand
those.
it to somebody else. Just see what they do.
There you go. Yeah, I might do that. So this is an interesting question that I ask the guys that go to tournaments and stuff. Is what's your favorite tournament snack?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I was so lucky because I'm from, or I live near Baltimore.
Nice.
So I knew the restaurant. So my wife dropped off Ekiben, which has been like, it's not a snack, it's like a full meal, but it's like an Asian fusion tempura fried like
Mm,
restaurant that's like
okay.
really good in Baltimore. So I had that. That was the best ever. But I drink a whole lot more than I like eat. Like I drink like I have a wine fridge right next to me right now, and
Nice.
it's just full of seltzer waters. So I
Cool.
usually, I mean, I'll just bring like two seltzer waters, a water bottle, and then I'll find food somewhere else.
You like a Liquid Death fan or something?
I just, it's honestly, this is Spindrift. I drink a lot of bubbly. It's just like I like to have, like, while I'm gaming or doing something for
Mm-hmm.
like a long time, I like to like just reach over and like do a thing because I'm really
Drink, right?
ADD.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so drinks, I'm not gonna get my hands all dirty. I'm not like on
Right.
playing with my cards and my Dorito fingers or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I do a lot more of that, and then I just like scarf food in between rounds if I can.
Fair. Um, what's so with the Arthurian legends? We'll specifically say the four cards that you got to kind of see firsthand with the, you know, uh, them being debuted at the tournament.
Hmm.
What is the one that most, it could be intriguing, the or art, or it could be any aspect, but what was your favorite out of the four that you got to see?
Siege Giant.
Sea Giant. Yeah,
Yeah,
true
because
it.
now I have a it's true it, and I have a Avatar of Air in fire now,
Yeah.
right? I get to throw my Root Spider at you and then burrow it and disable you, or I get
Hmm.
to throw my Kobold at you, or yeah, it's gonna be busted. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a huge fan of trying to find someone to alter it, and it's just gonna be a kobold flying over instead of
Hmm.
a dude.
Yeah, it's gonna be so strong. And then the what is it? Is it mesmerism or something?
Yeah,
That's gonna
mesmerism.
be really good because like I don't know that control isn't super powerful right now. But the fact that they're building control cards and they're niching it into water is like pretty cool. And it's got 4 pips. So you're like, okay, like you
Right,
have to be heavy water. You're not just splashing for Atlantean Fate. It's
right.
gonna be cool.
I showed that to the wife, and she was like, "Ooh,
Hell yeah.
all right." She's like, I'm gonna need one of those, so you're gonna need to
Hmm.
get one for me." I was like, "Sounds good."
Yeah, I got your permission. We'll be buying boxes.
Yeah, she has the complete set of water, and then I had to go get my own complete set of water,
That's really funny,
because like
actually.
the first round of getting cards, she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take all the water ones, and then you can do whatever
Yeah,
the heck you want with the rest of them."
that's awesome, actually.
Yeah, and then you're. We'll kind of end it on this one because we're going a little long, but I would love to chat some other time with you for sure.
Mhm.
What's your favorite? I think I know what the avatar will be, but what's your favorite magic minion artifact, site, and avatar? So one of each.
Oh God, I don't know if I've thought about this. Avatar, it's actually Air, believe it or not.
Air. Okay.
I'm a Seer fanboy, but Air is just the most fun. I can lose with Avatar of Air and have about as much fun as I have winning with anything else. So
Gotcha.
that minion, uh, God, I'm a bad person, and I wish people didn't know this about me. I love Lord of the Void, and I build Lord of the Void decks like frequently that aren't very good. I built one earlier today, a Lord of the Void deck. It's not like dedicated to Lord of the Void, but I'm like, how can I make Lord of the Void work? This combo. How can I make that combo work? Got it. We're doing it. And so
Hmm.
like I really like that. I think it's really fun. And I also love Amazon Warriors just because like my fat bottom girls have done everything for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're so good.
Gotta get one signed by Elvira.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah, I wish that all art wasn't so what it is. I think it would be cool to have a different alternate art for Amazon Warriors. That would be really
Hmm.
cool. Magic, I don't, I haven't thought about this before, but what comes to mind is Border Militia. A, I love the art. B, I think it's so good in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
The cup qualifier I went to, again, I was like pretty early on into playing, but I had 3 border militia in my sealed deck with like House Iron Bannerman and Shield Maidens.
Nice.
And then my top 8, we did a new draft and I got 4 border militia. And so I was like, I'm just gonna build around border militia, and that's all I did.
Nice.
And it won. I got second place. Like
There
it
you
did
go.
so much work for me. So I think my magic would be border militia because it's not super utilized. It's not like as powerful as Bury, but like it's so fun.
I love border militia.
It's so good, and the art's great.
I'm a token guy. I could do, as many foot soldiers as possible, please.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I completely agree. You said aura.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the one I use the most is Entangled Terrain because it's actually just really good, and
Right.
I don't think that people utilize it nearly as much as they should. I love, obviously, Atlantean Fate's one of the most busted cards in the game. And then, what was the other one?
So you have magic
I
minion artifact.
Silence. No, I was thinking
Okay,
Silence.
gotcha.
So
Silence is
I
good.
really wanted to make a Sisters of Silence like Death and Taxes deck.
Mhm.
I haven't made it work yet, but I'm gonna make it good eventually. Maybe in AL I'll get some pieces for it.
So I'll be honest. I played against a guy who had that idea, and
Uh-huh.
his deck is really good.
It's
It was
doable.
scary.
Yeah,
So he
it's
used,
cool.
yeah, he like Rift Valleyed, like, and then like dropped 2 Sage Crabs like turn 2 on me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can be really good. I don't know how consistent it is yet, but I'm excited. I want to make it good. So yeah, I think that's my aura. What was the last one?
So you have,
Avatar
I
minion,
think you did
aura,
Avatar
magic.
Minion,
I think I did
Magic.
them.
You have Artifact and Sight.
Artifact and sight. Oh god. Artifact oh god, I'm such a bad. I was gonna say maddening bells, but come on, come up with something that people don't hate you for. I like the idea of the Immortal Throne and Orb of Vareth Ball. I put in a lot of decks because I think it's just really fun. Even though like my opponent inevitably just walks up and uses it too, it's so fun. Insight. God, I love roots, but that just makes me like so bad. There's something else, right? Other sites are good. Quagmire is my under utilized one because
Nice.
it's like it's defensive, it's offensive, it's yeah,
Cool.
I like all those.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on. I won't steal any more of your time,
Yeah, man.
but thanks for coming on. And yeah, let me know if you want to jam some games later today or something.
I do. Yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. I loved it, and like I'm gonna hang out with my wife while she's awake, and
Yeah.
then I'll be on in like 3 hours because she'll go to sleep, and I've got 6 hours to kill. So
Yeah, message me.
I'll be around. Hi, buddy. But yeah, I got my wife and my puppies. So
Sweet. All right, I'll let you go.